All right. Well, let's talk about the Seahawks. That was a rough one. Yeah, lost 37-3. First point. There is nothing positive to say about this game. There's nothing at all to say positive. Let's just get this cat out of the bag right now. Gino Smith, he's not taking this team to success. We're not winning a playoff game with Gino. We're certainly not winning the division with Gino. There's no way we're beating the 49ers. Do you watch the games? And a lot of people are mad at me. I've been under attack on Twitter today because I speak in facts. And the Seahawks fan base doesn't like to listen to the facts. A lot of people live in La La Land, where they think that Gino was an upgrade over Russ, and they think that somehow we're still a competitive team to win playoff games, even though we're not. So here's the facts. I'm just going to leave you guys with this. Here's the facts. Gino is not among the top 15 most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. So for all the talk, you blame the offensive line all you want, but they're not letting him get sacked that much. He got sacked 4 times today. That's not great. But one of those sacks was blatantly his fault for holding on to the ball too long. You could argue 2 of them were his fault for holding on to the ball too long. So for all things considered, the O-line, I know they're not great, but they're not as bad as people make them out to be. And I just think it's hilarious that people make this excuse for Gino all the time. Like, oh, the O-line is bad, so Gino, it's not his fault. You'll blame the O-line, you'll blame the receivers, you'll blame the coordinator, who I agree Shane Waldron should be blamed. People will blame everyone but Gino, and it's like, why? Why would you blame everyone but Gino? Why can't you just say it how it is? Gino's turned the ball over twice, at least, in each of our past 4 games. He threw a terrible pick today. And again, was the receiver running the wrong route? He may have been. The receiver may have been in the wrong place. But that's still not, doesn't make it not Gino's fault. Gino has eyes. He can see, oh, my receiver's not in the place I thought he was going to be. Let's not throw it there. Huh. Like, think. Make a play. Think on the run. But Gino doesn't. Why doesn't he scramble? When he's under pressure, why doesn't he scramble? He never scrambles. Gino, he can't scramble. He went 4 yards today in 2 scrambles. Like, Gino doesn't know how to run the football. And speaking of running the football, really quick, Shane Waldron, what are you doing? You have a top 10 running back in Kenneth Walker, and you're not running the football. He only got 16 yards today and 9 carries, but even still, get him more than 9 carries. My goodness. K9 is a good player, and we treat him like he's like a freaking backup. I don't think Shane Waldron understands this. Like, just because you're losing doesn't mean you have to throw the ball every single play. But apparently, Shane Waldron thinks that you have to throw the ball every single play. So there's that. Let's go back to the Gino thing, though. Okay, there's a lot of Gino-Russ comparisons going on right now. Russell Wilson is 10 times the player that Gino Smith is. I'm sorry, I have to say this. Russell Wilson did not ever get blown out in Seattle. Even in the games that we lost close. It was 4th quarter. It was grinding it out. It was, we're down, I'm going to lift us up. It was, we're down, I'm going to pick us up. I'm going to bring us to the next level. I'm going to take us where we need to go. I'm going to carry you. People, I said this on Twitter, and people were like, well, Russ got carried by his defense. Yeah, he did the first 3 years. Do you not remember 2016, 2017, 2019, 2020? We were making the playoffs. We were winning playoff games. We were winning the division, beating the 49ers, beating the Rams, winning close games. And when we lost, it was always close losses. It was always nail-biter losses. And we did that with a defense that is not half as good as it is today on our current team. We did that with an offensive line that was equally as bad, if not worse. Like, do you guys have such short-term memory loss? Do you remember Russell Wilson, the O-line he was playing with? Russ was getting sacked more than anybody else in the NFL. Gino was like 17th most sacked quarterback, and you guys are like, oh, it's the O-line's fault. No, it's not the O-line's fault. At some point, it has to be Gino Smith's fault. And today, it was Gino Smith's fault. 13 for 28, but completion percentage. That's meant to be his strong suit. 45% completion percentage, that's his strong suit. 156 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick, and a fumble. And I'm not saying that we should start Drew Lock, because I think Drew Lock's even worse. Which is a crazy thing to say. But I think, so we have to keep playing Gino, but it's not going to change. And when we beat the Commanders next week, if we beat the Commanders, and if we beat the Rams with Brett Rippin, and we're 7-3, I'm still not going to go back on the Gino thing because it's a mirage. It's a mirage. He was good for 1 month. People are like, Levi, you don't know as well. How can you claim to say you know more than John Schneider and Pete Carroll? How can you claim to say you know more than the geniuses in the front office? They clearly, you're just a kid. You're 18. You can't say that Gino is not a good quarterback because the coaches think he is. Do they? First, I would ask the question, do they? Because what I'm seeing is a team that whenever it's 3rd and long, 2nd and long, instead of letting Gino throw, they do screen passes and hand the ball off and do little bubble screens. That doesn't sound like a team that trusts Gino to get the job done when they need it most, but I digress. I'm not saying that I know better than Pete Carroll and John Schneider. What I am saying is this. We've seen the sample size. We had 2 years of Gino being a average starting quarterback for the Jets. Then we had 8 years of Gino being a backup. Then we had one really good month as the starter last year in October. And then he went 3-6 in the last 9 games of the season. And then so far this year, he's 5-3. 5 wins. 4 of them are against 3 of them are against bad teams. The Browns, it was against their backup quarterbacks. That doesn't even really count. So we have 1 good win. It was in overtime. And we've now been blown out twice. Once at home against the Rams, who are terrible. And then we got blown out to the Ravens. So Gino, when he's playing the Giants or the Panthers, he looks pretty good. When he beats Brett Rippin in Los Angeles, he's going to look pretty good. When he beats the Titans, when he beats the Cardinals, he looks pretty good. Except he didn't look very good when he beat the Cardinals 2 weeks ago. But again, I digress. The minute he goes up against adversity, the minute the O-line starts playing bad, the minute somebody gets injured, the minute he has a bad play, the minute there's a penalty, the minute he has to be called upon to make a big play, the minute he is losing a football game, Gino Smith crumbles. He crumbles under pressure. Well, he made a great play to win the game against the Browns. Well, did he? He did throw the touchdown pass to beat the Browns, but come on. It's not like that was a tough throw. He pitched it to Jackson Smith and Najikma. And JXN was the one who really won that game for us. Well, Levi, Gino, what about the Lions game? We were never down in the Lions game. The defense got us a score and then set us up for another score. We were never on the ropes against the Detroit Lions. I'm saying when Gino Smith is on the ropes and has to make the big play, when he has to convert 3rd and long, when he has to play against an actual defense, a good pass rush, he crumbles. Good quarterbacks don't crumble. Russell Wilson never crumbled. Russell Wilson was competitive in every single game, even the ones that he lost in. With a worse team around him, he kept us consistently playoff contenders. I do not think we are capable of winning a playoff game this year with Gino. Not even if it's against the Saints or the Falcons. I think we would lose to the Saints and Falcons. I really do. I think we would go to the Superdome and lose that game to the Saints. We're not a good team. We are an average team that's going to make the playoffs because the NFC is not very good. That's what we are. And it sucks because we're wasting the careers of a bunch of really good, young, talented players by continuing to let Gino Smith, a backup, be our starting quarterback. And again, he's a backup. 10 years of being a backup versus 1 good month. Come on, guys. Do you not see the big picture here? And again, not saying to bench him, I'm saying next year we have to move on from Gino. We have to. Or else you're going to waste DK and Tyler and JXN and Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, and you're going to waste Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, and you're going to waste Tariq Woolen, you're going to waste Quandre Diggs, you're going to waste Jamal Adams, you're already wasting Leonard Williams, who I'll get to in a second, because he also had a pretty disappointing game. You're going to waste Boye Mafe, you're going to waste Devon Witherspoon, you're going to waste them all. You waste all of your young talent, Derek Hall, you waste him, all of them, by having Gino as your quarterback. Because you know what? Gino can't win big games against good teams. He can't. I hate to be so blunt about it, but when was the last time we've seen Gino win a big game against a good team? And don't say the Browns, because we were playing a backup quarterback against the Browns. We were meant to win that game. I'm saying, when did Gino go into a game as an underdog and convincingly beat them? Let's see. Well, there was that Chargers game last year. Okay, so once. It's not a great track record, buddy. It's not a great track record. That's all I have to say. Oh, and the Broncos game. Twice. In 10 years? In his whole career, he's done it twice? Wow, what a great quarterback. My goodness. Last but not least, I don't want to put too much weight into this because it was his first game, but my Leonard Williams take, not looking terrible right now. We traded for a defensive tackle, Leonard Williams, who's meant to be pretty good, you know. You would think that we would have been better against the run, so naturally we allowed the third string running back, what's his name? It's Kente something. Keaton Mitchell. We let Keaton Mitchell average 15 yards per attempt. That's insane. 138 yards, 15 yards per attempt, and a touchdown. And not to mention, Lamar Jackson also rushed for 60 yards, and Gus Edwards rushed for 52 yards, averaged 10.4 yards per attempt, and 2 touchdowns. And Justice Hill, just for the fun of it, Justice Hill rushed for 40 yards. If you've done the math, I just did in my head, yeah, we allowed 300 yards of rushing today. 300! And Tyler Huntley also outplayed Gino Smith. That's the story of today's game. We have the worst quarterback, we have the worst offensive line, we have the worst defensive line, and their defensive coordinator made our offensive coordinator look like he didn't know what he was doing. So there's nothing positive to say after today's game. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to be toxically positive anymore. Some fans are living in a la-la land where everything's okay and sunshine and rainbows and daisy pixie dust. I don't know how you guys do it, but I can't. I'm not gonna lie and pretend like everything's okay when it's not. It's time to move off of Geno Smith. Next year, get a new quarterback. Trade for somebody. Sign Kirk Cousins. Sign somebody. Give me somebody new. It can't be Geno anymore. You can't keep wasting the careers of everyone who's good. No matter how good the Ravens are, you cannot get blown out by 34 points and say that you are a contender. Because you're not. And I'm not going to make the same mistake that I have in the past. And when we beat the Commanders next week, I'm not going to jump back onto the train. Okay? The Geno train has left the station, and I'm not on it anymore. I got off at the last stop. I got off of that train today, and I'm not getting back on it. That's my take. So if you guys agree, then well, you should. If you disagree, then let me know down in the comments and call me an idiot. I can take it. Because I know who's right. I know the facts. I've seen the facts. Facts don't care about your feelings. Facts don't care about Geno Smith's feelings. Facts don't care about Russell Wilson being a corny quarterback and you guys thinking that he's terrible. The fact is that with Russ, we were good, and with Gino, it's a mirage. It's all a mirage. Because the minute it gets difficult, Gino crumbles. That's why he got benched in New York. That's why nobody gave him a job after New York. That's why last season, when he was going to be our starter, most people thought we were going to be the worst team in the league. Gino Smith is surrounded by an all-star team of players. An all-star team of players. But just because his offensive line allows a couple sacks, I guess it's not his fault that we can't score more than 3 points in a game. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Blame the offensive line all you want. It's Gino's fault. And blame the defense, but it's not the defense's fault. The defense played well until they were completely gassed. The defense forgot how to tackle in the second half. Also, the defense was on the field, I swear, 80% of the game. Of course they're going to make some mistakes. Don't give them a chance to get any rest, because the offense couldn't get a freaking first down. Okay, I'm done with the rant. Like, subscribe, comment down below. NW Sportscast, we'll get back at them next week. Go Hawks.